Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine. Continue the Iliad by Homer. I'm going to continue to read. Achilles is no madman, no reckless fool, not the one to defy the gods' commands. Whoever begs his mercy, he will spare with all the kindness in his heart. And Ares, racing the wind, went weaving off, and Priam ordered his sons to get a wagon ready, a good smooth running road, one to hitch the mules and strap a big wicker cradle across his frame. Then down he went himself to his treasure chamber, high-ceilinged, panelled, fragrant with cedar wood, and a wealth of precious objects filled his chest. He called out to his wife, Hecuba, "Dear woman, the Olympian messenger came to me from Zeus. I must go to Achilles' ships and ransom our dear son, bearing gift to Achilles, gift to melt his rage. Tell me, what should I do? What do you think? Myself, a terrible longing drive me, heart and soul, down to the ships into the vast Achaeans' camp." But his wife cried out and answered, "No, no, where have your senses gone? That made you famous once, but among outland men and those you ruled in Troy. How can you think of going down to the ships alone and face the glance of the man who killed your son? So many fine brave boys, you have a heart of lion. If he gets you in his clutches, set his eyes on you, that savage, treacherous man, he will show no mercy, no respect for your knights. Come, all we can do now is sit in the house, far from our son, and war for Hector. So this is the doom that strong fate spun out. Our son's life lying drawn with his first breath, the moment I gave him birth, to glut the wild dogs cut off from his parents, crushed by the stronger man. Oh, would to God that I could sink my teeth in his liver, eat him raw. That would avenge what he has done to Hector. No coward the man Achilles killed. My son stood and fought her for the men of Troy and their deep-breasted wives, with never a thought of flight or run for cover." But the old and noble Priam answered firmly, "I will go, my mind's made up. Don't hold me back, and don't go flying off on your own across the house. A bird of evil omen, you cannot dissuade me now. If someone else had commanded me, some mortal man, some prophet staring into the smokes, some priest, I'd call it a lie and turn my back upon it. Not now. I heard her voice with my own ears. I looked straight at the goddess face to face, so I'm going. Her message must not come to nothing, and if it is my fate to die by the ships of Achaeans, armed in bronze, then die I shall. Let Achilles cut me down straightway, once I've caught my son in my arms and wept my fill." He raised back the carved lids of the chest and lifted out 12 robes, handsome rich brocades, 12 cloaks, unlined and light, as many blankets, as many big white capes and shirts to go with them. He weighed and carried out 10 full bars of gold, and took 2 burnished tripods, 4 fine cauldrons, and last a magnificent cup. The Thracians gave him once. He'd gone on an embassy and won that priceless treasure, but not even that did the old man spare in his house. Not now. Consumed with desire to ransom back his son, crowd of children were mobbing his colonies. He gave them a tongue-lashing, sent them packing. Get out, you good for nothing, public disgrace. Haven't you got enough to wail about at home without coming here to add to all my griefs? You think it nothing, the pain that Zeus has sent me? He's destroying my best son. You will learn too in tears. Easier games you'll be for Achaean troops to slaughter. Now my Hector's dead, but before I have to see my city and inhalate it, laid waste before my eyes. Oh, let me go down to the house of death." He herded them off with his staff. They fled outside before the old man's fury, so he lashed out at his son, cursing the sight of Helenus, Paris, noble Agathons, Paman, Antiphonus, Pyloids, loud with the war cry, Deiphobus and Hippothous, even lordly Dias. The old man shouted at all 9 rough commands, "Go to your work, my vicious sons, my humiliation. If only you'd all been killed at the fast ships instead of my dear Hector, but I, dear God, my life, so cursed by fate, I fathered hero sons in the wide realm of Troy, and now not a single one is left. I tell you, Mestor, the indestructible Troilus, passionate horseman, and Hector, a god among men, no son of a mortal man. He seemed a deathless god, but Ares killed them all, and all he left me are these disgrace, liars, dancers, heroes only at bearing the dancing rings. You plunder your own people for lambs and kids. Why don't you get my wagon ready now at once? Pack all these things aboard. We must be on our way." Terrified by their father's rough commands, the sons trundled a more wagon out at once, a good smooth-running one, newly finished, balanced and bolted tight, and strapped a big wicked cradle across his frame. They lifted off his book, a boxwood yoke for the mules, its bulging pommel fitted with rings for guide reins, brought out with the yoke, its yoke strap 9 arms long, and wedged the yoke down firm on the sanded, tapered pole on the front peg, and slipped the yoke ring onto its pin, strapped the pommel with 3 good twists, both sides, then lashed the assembly round and down the shaft, and under the clamp they made the lashing fast. Then the princely ransom for Hector's body, hauled up from the walls, they pulled it high on the wagon's well-made cradle. Then they yoked the mules, stamped their sharp hoofs, trained for heavy heads, that the male sons once gave princely gifts. The last they yoked his team to the king's chariots, stallions he bred himself in his own polished stalls. No sooner were both men harnessed up beneath the roofs, Priam and herald, mind set on the coming journey, than Hecuba rushed up to them, gaunt with grief, her right hand holding a golden cup of honeyed wine, so the man might pour libations front at parting. She stood in front of the horses, crying up at Priam, "Here, quickly pour a libation out to Father Zeus, pray for a safe return from all our mortal enemies. Seeing you are dead set on going down to the ships, though you go against my will, but if you go, you must pray at least to the great God of the dark storm clouds, up there on Ida, gazing down on the whole spans of Troy." I'm going to stop here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.